does. He gets out of the room because Skender's an idiot, right? So Skender, decides he wants to be a man, goes to where Clement is locked up in the panic room, lets him out. Skender then, Clement then beats him to death savagely. Beats Skender to death. Then he goes to the Venus, the headquarters of the Albanian mob on that side of the river, and goes full on T1000. Yeah, just murders everyone in the Venus.
And he really should have murdered that old guy too.
That would have been in character.
In character,
absolutely. Yep. Yeah. It absolutely would have been. Like for him to walk around behind him and then shoot him on the way out or something.
Yeah.
I agree entirely. It was very much out of character for him not to kill him. But yeah, so Clement murders all of the Albanians in full-on Terminator style.
Yeah,
and then he and Raylan have their little standoff. And and you mentioned this 30-minute episode, which essentially it was before we got the postscript, and yet they still had time. Again, my issue with the show, the 30-minute episode. You've only got 8 of these episodes, but yet you found time for 3 episodes worth of Willa. Right? You've only got 8 episodes, and yet you found time for them to have this like weird ass scene with Carolyn in the bathtub and Raylan not in the bathtub, like giving her like a sponge bath or whatever.
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, don't stop.
Don't stop." Like, okay.
Very believable.
It's so weird. It's so awkward. It was like, I have it labeled as an awkward sponge bath, right? And
yeah.
And I understand that what the writers and the producers were trying to show is that Raylan's conflicted about this decision to leave Clement in the panic room and abandon him there to die of whatever, dehydration or exhaustion or suffocation or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But we don't need that, right? We know that Raylan's conflicted by this decision. we don't need to see him giving Carolyn a sponge bath to understand that. And
do you think that Carolyn, they're trying to make, because I don't think she has, I don't know, how do I say this without getting in trouble? I don't think she's she's not somebody who I would picture as sexual, I don't. There's no. In my opinion, I don't have any attraction to her, and I don't see her that way.
Well, I think that it's how she chose to play the character, right? And that's fine. I don't think Anjanae Ellis is particularly unattractive. I don't think that she's non-sexual in any way. And other stuff that I've seen her in, I think she's just sort of playing this character, Carolyn, in a very sort of straight way. And it doesn't convey to the chemistry between Carolyn and Raylan. It doesn't convey to kind of her seductiveness. It's just not there. There just isn't any. She doesn't strike me as seductive at all. And so we've talked about this from the beginning of this lack of chemistry between Raylan and Carolyn, and I just wonder where that came from, because I think it's the actors. I don't think it's necessarily their appearances or anything like that. It's just the way that they've chosen to play the characters, or maybe a lack of chemistry between the actors themselves, that I think is left.
Yeah. You know what? I maybe I will just chalk it up to lack of chemistry then. I mean, yeah, actually, I think that's what we had talked about before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, or maybe she's just miscast.
It could be. It could be. Yeah. I mean that could be the case too. I don't know. It's hard, right? It's hard. It's hard because we don't want to make this about the actress necessarily, or her appearance by any stretch of the imagination. It's really about the character, and I don't know. I thought it was poorly done, kind of across the board, the way that Carolyn was handled. Carolyn in the book is an interesting character. Carolyn in the show is a far less interesting character.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how like, did you had, obviously, if you'd read the book, then you probably had a visualization of the way, like you an idea of what she would be like as far as maybe in the series. I mean, how much different compared to the book would you say she is?
I would actually go so far as to say not all that different, right? In the book, there's more chemistry between Carolyn and Ray Cruz, which, by the way, that's right. She calls him Ray in the book, which is why she calls Raylan Ray in the show. It's the whole thing. There's more chemistry for sure in the book between Ray and Carolyn, but I would say that it's written. I would say it's not a significant departure from the way that it's written, right? She's meant to be older, a little bit older, which is fine because Ray is and Raylan is in the show. That's the idea. And she's not written as completely sort of hostile to the idea of sex, which is sort of what you feel like when you're interacting with Carolyn in the show. Like, she's just openly hostile to anything not furthering her own interests is sort of how it feels. Yeah. But I think that's I think that's a choice of how you play that character.
Yeah.
So,
but what'd you think of Winona?
Well, Winona's great. I mean, she looks great. Of course, she looked exactly the same. She hasn't aged a day, basically.
Yeah.
I thought it was clever to have Willow rolling over her grass after getting her learner's permit. I think that's wonderful.
Oh, man. Do you think so? Willow is kind of a train wreck, really.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, I don't know. She's like we had talked before, she's a teenager and everything else, but she's I don't know what she's gonna be like when she's like older, but I have my theories.
I have a thought. I have a feeling I know what Willow's gonna be like when she's older. She will be sitting in mud at Burning Man right now.
Trying to find herself.
That's what I feel about Willow when she gets older, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit of a hippie, a little bit of a weirdo.
Yeah. But still stuck in the mud.
It's still stuck in the mud.
Yeah. Sheltering in place.
So yeah, let's see. Who else do we have here? We talked about Clement. We've talked in the past about how Clement Mansell is no Boyd Crowder, right? And
I served with
Boyd Crowder.
I knew
Boyd Crowder.
Senator, you're no
Boyd Crowder. And we get a direct contrast in this episode, right? So you've got in the beginning of the episode, Clement is being locked in the panic room. And it immediately occurs to him what's going on. He knows what's going to happen there, right?
Yeah.
But yet he allows himself to get locked in that room without even trying to talk his way out, right? Like yeah. Boyd would never have allowed that to happen. Yeah. There would have been 15 lines of conversation that Boyd would have started like, "Oh, well, I have this information on this thing," or, "What if we did this and then you didn't have to shoot me? What if you took that gun right there and you shot Raylan instead?" And then, he'd be trying to make a deal the whole time as the door is closing. And instead, Clement Mansell just sort of accepts his fate and then goes and smashes up his new room. I thought that was an interesting comparison, because now you've got Boyd, who managed to engineer his way out of prison. Not just to avoid getting himself locked up, but managed to engineer his way out. And Clement couldn't even stop the door from closing on him. So, and has to rely on, toxic masculinity from Skender to free him.
Well, Tom was right. Skender's a fool. I mean, don't you think? I mean,
what did you think that this was going to go well? How did he put it? You didn't think of all of the ways this could go wrong, or something?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And probably like him showing up being the Terminator at your headquarters is like at the top of the list
of the ways it can go wrong.
Of the ways it can go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even what's his name, Henchman, like he gave that gun to Skender and he couldn't that's why
he goes to reach.
He's like reaching,
it.
and it was gone.
I did notice that little play, but look, I still don't forgive. The writers don't get a pass from me on this. There's no way that the Albanians were that unprepared for an incursion into their headquarters. Like to suggest that somehow he just kind of blitz attacks his way in there and kills everyone. Come on. There's no way. They had plenty of time to prep.
And did anybody even shoot back? I don't think
there was
so.
One shot from Toma. One gunshot.
Oh, that's
from
right.
Toma.
And he missed.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it. Nobody else even cleared their holsters.
Yeah. Yeah. And there wasn't even like the Star Wars trooper, like somebody fires and like completely misses.
Yeah, or is going down and shoots 3 into the air or whatever. But the thing is, they knew he was coming too because you could see it on the video camera, and so it's just so,
and you could hear the shots, and then
it's just. I didn't like it. No, sir, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, compared to the ending. Oh, I don't know. Did you want to go somewhere else?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and you compare that to the ending, where he gets it, where it's a showdown with Raylan and him, and that was very well done. I really like that.
I agree.
Yeah.
They have a short conversation. He gets up to go get the beer. He makes a move that looks like he's going for a gun, and he gets put down. It's that easy. Not a lot of navel gazing. Not a lot of let's turn out the lights and do this in the dark or whatever. It's just like it just happens.
Yeah,
Raylan was ready to end it. That guy was getting shot, no doubt about it.
Yeah. And that's probably the highlight of the whole series too, or this whole season. I mean.
Oh yeah. I think so. And I mean, he, and he's legitimately surprised. I mean, Mansell is legitimately surprised that he got shot. He didn't. I mean, I think he bought into his own bullshit a little bit. Thinking he was invincible.
Yeah.
Even though he goes there knowing full well that it's going to end one way or the other. I mean, he says as much. He's what does he say? It's been fun, doing this with you or whatever. I mean, he knows that it's over at this point. There's only one or two ways that this ends.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Maureen and Norbert for a minute, because Maureen gets a little moment to shine here. Mm-hmm. The after they get the book off Clement, they go and they roll up and arrest Maureen. Because her name's in the book, taking payouts correlated to trials in which the defendant was convicted on less than solid evidence. So that's not great. And she has this like series of moments that she goes through in 30 seconds. It's like every sort of bad cop cliche sort of rolled into one, and she goes through them all in less than a minute. She starts with the ha 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 ha, you've got nothing then, is what you're telling me. You've only got that book, you've got nothing to corroborate it. And then it immediately switches from that to, well, I'm cleaner than you guys are. You guys do more dirt out there every day than it ever gets recorded in those books. And then she immediately switches from that to, well, you do what you have to do to keep these streets clean. It's like, I might be dirty, but at least these people are locked up or whatever. It's quite the evolution in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, and I forgot the name of it. Who was the black detective?
It begins with a W. Shoot, Wendell. Yeah, he does make a good point though. You don't hang two bodies on somebody who didn't do anything. As far as like, that's pretty. Just because he's a drug addict, homeless guy, you hang two bodies on him because you wanted a collar. Come on. Yeah. There's levels of There's levels of misconduct that I'm willing to accept in my fictional police, and then there's beyond the pale.
That's downright criminal, really, to put somebody like that.
Absolutely.
So there should be some consequence for that. And that doesn't really